All right. So I want to talk today about why I think school is useless. Maybe useless isn't the word. Harmful. Okay. 50% of Americans now have a chronic disease. 25% now have multiple chronic diseases. I think if we take into account the rate of disease that is caused by students going to school, let's say they take on debt of a huge amount every year, the amount of stress caused, sleep lost. So sleep lost. When we have this daylight savings time and we gain an hour, heart attacks go down 24% across the country. When we lose an hour of sleep, on the opposing side, heart attacks go up the same amount. The amount of sleep lost by college students is massive. The number one killer of students, of people under 25, is suicide. I think school definitely pushes suicide rates through the roof. When I was in college, I went to be an athlete, and so it was a place for me to learn basketball. Hey, great. This is what the school is meant to be used for. But going there for building my power, no. I faced many illnesses, and I had muscle tears and plantar fasciitis I had to play through just to maintain my scholarship, or I would have owed something like $20,000 for my university. So it wasn't much of an opportunity. It was an opportunity to fail. It's like being offered probation. But hey, if you make it through the probation, you get a reward. Yeah, I really don't like the idea of being on probation where I might now any tiny thing I do is a huge mistake. And that's exactly what it is. Out of 30 students that had scholarships at my university for basketball, 23 of them, I want to say, didn't make it. I'm not 100% sure, but I know we had less than 10 guys on the team at the end of the season. And men were kicked out of school for things like having a woman in the dorm room, drinking. Go figure. Kids that are super stressed, no activity on campus. Our gym was being rebuilt. No help for them. So God forbid you want to hang out with women, you're a terrible American, go away. Oh, not to mention marijuana. A lot of these people were from states where marijuana was legal. Coaches knew they were smoking when they got there, and still the universities tried to test. Somehow they only tested certain ethnic groups of people too. But everybody that was tested would then have to take, they forced them into rehab for weed, which made them feel like they had a big drug problem. They were athletes. They were handling what they were doing fine. I don't think it was harming them so much, or the society, or the team, or whatever. As long as they came to practice on time, I didn't give a shit. And weren't high in the games, I didn't really care. Our diabetes rate is, what is it, 30% now in the US? 100 million people are either type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic. So I'm just saying the 15, how do I say this without offending too many people I know? That's why I make these videos, because I don't want to talk to the people I know. I'd like to just start a conversation with 1,000 other people, maybe some people you change some of my views. That would be the best output for this use of technology for me. If I could update my ideas and learn some shit that I'm off on, great. Convince me about school being good. I'm sure it is good for the people that, look, if you come from a wealthy family, school should be the automatic option. You can afford the 5 years of no pay at all, because, so why not do this? This also kind of leads to this idea of, in the US, the cumulative interest rate is 6%. If you look it up by year, it's like, just the interest rate's about 2%. But the cumulative interest rate, because you have to add that 2% on all the previous years, it means the value in our society of the dollar is going down 6% per year. I don't even want to do math again in my head. For something like every 14 or 16 years, your money is worth half. So if I get a job at McDonald's making $20,000 a year, when I'm 15 years old, which is easily doable. I was working at 13 years old in the US, and kids are allowed to work on tobacco plantations when they're 6. Explain to me that one why that's okay. But so if you start working when you're 6 years old and we're making 20,000 a year, let's just make it 10, huh? Because that seems pretty lofty for that. And more people are probably making 10 than 20 in the US. All right. So by the time you're 20, if you're only making 10,000, still, it's worth only 5 now. Because the dollar's not worth, it's not even worth half of what it was before. Then in another 15 years, it'll be worth a half of that half. So now if you're making $10,000 a year, 30 years later, you're making $2,500 a year. No, you're still making 10,000. I get it. You're making 10,000 in your account, but that 10,000 is worth 2,500 when you were a kid. I think the amount of people going from that top echelon, or the people that have wealth right now, if 6% are dropping down into complete poverty by year, I think that's probably our biggest issue in the US, the social contract between corporations or our government having inflation rates of 6% per year. It's just, that's really, really cutting into it. So the money I made as a server when I was 15 years old, I'm now 36, so 20 years. So I was making 30-something thousand a year then. So that's worth 70. They'd have to pay me 70 to be worth what I was worth as a child. To earn 70,000 a year is not so easy unless you're going to go live in New York. And you're going to have to do a soul-crushing job that is probably going to lead to stress, lack of sleep, diabetes, weight gain, overall death of the country, the weakening of the country, the weakening of the child. And I think we don't give a shit about our children if we're going to continue to offer them just what you guys need is more school. Stay in school later. Promise the girls that they can have a kid when they're 40. We've got medicine now. That'll only cost you however much it pop, 30,000 a try. I also heard about the wage gap issue between, and this is not going to be the wage gap you think I'm talking about, the wage gap between fat women and thin women. Okay? So that is a much bigger gap. I forget the numbers, but you can look that up too. Look it all up on Google. The gap between fat women and thin women is massively different. The gap between tall men and short men is massively different. So if you're a tall man, like me, maybe I should have just stayed working early and things might have happened, and stay healthy. If I focused on my health, I'm employable for longer. I cost much less to the system. Let's say, I think it's something like 1,500 to treat diabetes for a month. Am I right? So it's something like 600 and something thousand per year for the lifetime of that person if they're diagnosed, whatever, however young it is. We'll just say on average. But it's 100 million people that have this disease or are about to have the disease that we know for sure. That is actually now a threat. Was it the CDC? I can't remember what government agency. I think it was CIA or the military, somewhere, the Pentagon, something. I can't remember, don't care. Says that it's a big threat to US life. Like, forget a terrorist attack, forget war costs. The health of our people is too great. Now, I live in Finland now. We're importing all of this here. The autism rates, the disease rates, the obesity rates. And I don't think just I don't think just exercising is going to do it for you. We've been sold the exercising thing for a long time, but I overdo exercise when I was a kid because I thought, well, I wanted to have a ripped six-pack. Still never happened, huh? Still not the gut I've always dreamt of. Who cares? I'm shirtless like this because I don't like fakeness in YouTubers. And at least there's one thing you can at least see. This I had to build myself without steroids, slowly over time, and now I play professionally. My body could be better. I'm just saying I am proud of whatever I've got. I can't change my body any more than what I've done, and I have maxed out for myself what my looks could be, I think. So it is what it is. I don't do it because I'm cocky. I don't give a crap. I just figure there's not many people in these videos that are actually showing what they do, unless they're taking an Instagram picture or standing perfectly in perfectly under a light so you can see, oh, I look super cut. Come on, man. That's all fake stuff. So the school thing again. School I saw as a huge scam. The amount of student debt people are taking on for no reason. The poor believe school is for them. And I would say, I don't think it is. And I was one of those people. But going on scholarship as a man, as a grown man for basketball, I thought, what a fun idea, I can do this. No, you can't. Not unless you have wealthy family. So it was a bad idea for me to take that deal at all. If I wouldn't have even been able to recover financially probably if I would have failed out of school. Then it would have been crushing. The debt comes right away. It's debt you can't escape. What stress is this we're putting on people? Then not to mention, if you have $100,000 in debt, what person is going to hire you? Because they know you're going to have to pay off that debt shortly through them. You're going to expect them to help you pay that off. Why wouldn't they take somebody that's 18 years old with no debt over somebody that's 25, 30 with overwhelming debt? You better have learned some incredible skills in college. But what classes are those that you could take? Please tell me. Please, that's what I'm telling you. I'm making these videos, not to be an asshole, not to offend people. I hope to change the world a little bit before I die. But I was a kid that had multiple diseases, life-threatening ones as a kid. Asthmatic, could not, I had allergies. And so exercise was never even in the cards for me. It wasn't even an option. So my family promoted to me the education system. Okay. So I was the youngest student from what I believe. I'm not gonna verify this either, but I don't know how you would. The records weren't. Anyway, maybe ask some. We could ask. I do know some of the guys that remember me when I was a child, but I was 10 years old when I entered Harvard College. I think for the first time, maybe 11, 5th grade, and then I skipped a grade. They thought I was retarded because they tested me in school, and hey, we might have to put you in special needs classes, and we did IQ testing and saw, oh well, no, he's not even close to special. He's actually far advanced. He's just not being challenged by the workload. So, and that's what it was. There wasn't enough work. It's that they were moving so slow for the other students that it really became. I didn't want to be in class. They just really, after I would understand the principle, I couldn't move forward. I had to wait and continue to do these things over and over and over again. So I lost complete love for school. Offering me college, I was able to go to regular school in the daytime, and then at night, go straight to the university. And this was horrible. I was falling asleep in class. The lecturers were very slow. I thought, and this made me not even want to learn. And man, thank you for after school, after college, I actually wanted to start learning. In school, my library had nothing useful in it. We didn't even have business books in my library at that time, which I was studying for. So it wasn't like I had the same access to university libraries that other people do. And I'm just guessing if you're a doctor or working on your doctorate or PhD in something, you're probably not in the library looking up different studies that your university lets you look at for free. So you're just not going to end up doing much more than outside of the book. I'm just going to, on average, but you can, it'd be really hard to convince me of something different because I know lots of students We're barely just trying to get the coursework done to get the grades for our classes. We might take a few extra classes just to be sure that we can fail a few. But most coursework is loaded up with physical education stuff. Athletes are able to take classes that they don't have to do anything for. We're just dropping the bar lower, lower, lower so we can continue to have graduates, but graduates, I feel, is a bad indicator of the health of our nation. We really don't even need the graduates at all. We could negotiate a wage for the average worker and import all the people with degrees. This is a crazy idea. I don't know where I came up with this one, but let's go with it. What would be the harm in that? Yeah, if you come from another country, sorry, you didn't pay into our tax system for the younger part of the life, and you're not part of our Western culture yet. So maybe you'd have to take a wage equal to that of what a graduate is in our country from high school. What's wrong with that? If we come to your country, we don't get any working rights. We don't have any extra value as an American there. We already accept people from other countries as some of our highest paid people. Oh, and by the way, that's another point too. So yeah, if we do allow the immigration of students, just students, I'm just talking to students here, legal immigration of students, it's not only supposedly our FBI says it's a huge threat, right? We don't have spies anymore, they have students. So don't be friends with Chinese students, is what Mike Baker's saying in Joe Rogan, kind of, or watch out for it, because they're really connected to the military there and they might try to use you to, Plus, if we allow from countries where the students just clearly outwork our locals, like, I don't know, what are the nationalities that do that in the US? I don't have a list in front of me. I think would be Nigerians, Indians, Ashkenazi Jews. I think those are near the top. The family incomes are at the top of the US. So I think all those places are great English speakers, aren't they? Nigeria's national language is English. So they inherently have an advantage above the others. But Nigerian families outwork the local families so much. Well, if it's not outworking them, then what is it? Is it just Nigerian privilege? Are we saying that Nigerians have such privilege in the US that they're just given the jobs at the highest level? I don't see extra school as a good thing. I think it should be just like when I was offered a job once from hard work to be a train conductor. And this had within engineering school, which was within the company. This is the kind of school I enjoy. If you need somebody qualified for the job here, you train them. Then they have a higher incentive to keep you on with the company. It makes more sense. And after 1 year of taking the school, I was going to be able to make something like 125,000, maybe it was upward of 200,000. That's a train engineer. This sounds like a better deal than all the other things. Because before we had all these universities, where now it's just political one-sidedness and softness and people don't want to be offended and so forth, where's the real education? You're getting a guided education. You're getting an education that's going to be hoisted upon you, that's not going to end up giving you benefits if you move to a country that doesn't believe the same Western beliefs. Like, go with all the stuff that we push in California. Even if you just move to Texas, you think it'll get along as easily there? What about if you go somewhere more extreme? Can I not work anywhere in Africa because if I believe in full inclusion of everybody, I don't know if they believe in that in Africa. They say they're not killing white people for now. Not now. It's owned by one group of families. They run the entire school system in the US. The Rockefellers built the school system, I believe, in the beginning. There's not different schools that have degrees also that are allowed to teach a different thing. They all have to have the same idea on climate change or whatever the ideas are. So you're not really getting difference of opinion. You can go online and it's really quick to see how fast the Republican gets shut down there. But, well, I don't mind if politics aren't around school so much, because both sides just really seem to stick to their own sides, and nobody seems to want to help. Nobody wants to reach across and extend an olive branch. So I don't really give a crap about either side right now. That's already 20-something minutes on school. Fuck school.